Welcome back. So, in a bit of a surprising move, and I say a bit because the Ottawa Senators were rumored to be the team that was going to sign Tarasenko weeks ago. That the idea was they trade DeBrincat, they save that money in the trade, and they use that money to sign or bring in Tarasenko as a signing. And it's happened. Now, in between, Tarasenko fired his representation, got new agents, and all that. And so I want to talk about Vlad Tarasenko and what he likely brings to the Senators. Now, of course, Vlad Tarasenko's had a hard time of it. 2019, you have the Stanley Cup run, right? 26 games, 11 goals, 6 assists, 17 points. And then we start going through shoulder surgeries. And a lot of debate about how the shoulder surgeries went and whose fault it was if they didn't go well. But he only played 10 games in the 2019-2020 season, had 3 goals, 7 assists for 10 points that year. 2020-2021 plays 24 games, 4 goals, 10 assists, 14 points. And there was a lot of discussion about whether or not the goal scoring was gone, right? So he has his third shoulder surgery, and the doctor declares he is 100% healthy and good to go. And that was before the 2021-2022 season, which, if you're Tarasenko, you had to be quite happy. And if you're the Blues, you were probably pretty happy too, because he played 75 games, 34 goals. So the goal scoring was back. 48 assists, 82 points. So for a guy with a bad shoulder, he looked pretty good. So his doctor, very likely 100% accurate that his shoulder was 100%. Now, is it something that you have to worry about going forward? Not necessarily. It really depends on injuries. He should be good. Now, this past season, he starts the season, of course, with St. Louis. But it was obvious that they were going to move on. So 38 games, 10 goals, 19 assists, 29 points. Pretty good run. And then he gets traded to the New York Rangers. Initially with the Rangers, he played very well. I thought he faded a bit after that. He ends up playing 31 games in New York, 8 goals, 13 assists, 21 points. Now, in his career, he has 675 games played, 270 goals, so he's only 30 short of 300, 304 assists, and 574 points. So he's only 26 points away from 600. Now, he's played in 4 All-Star games, 2015, 2016, 2017, and 2023. So he's a star, right? He's been a second-team All-Star in the NHL twice, 2015 and 2016. He has been top 10 in goals 3 times. He was 5th in 2014-2015, 4th both in 2015-2016 and 2016-2017. He hasn't really got back to that level, and he turns 32 in December. And of course, as we saw with DeBrincat, who he's likely replacing in the lineup, at the very least from a depth perspective, he's replacing that depth that was lost in the DeBrincat deal. Tarasenko, is he going to have the chemistry with Ottawa that he had with St. Louis to get that 34 goal season? That's the key. And I felt like with the Rangers, at times that chemistry was there and at times it wasn't, right? I thought, and that was the speculation, that he wanted to go back to the New York Rangers. They don't have $5 million in cap space with which to sign him. So he ends up signing for a little bit less than reported deals he was offered earlier in the summer. As I mentioned in a video a day or two ago, it doesn't feel like the money is the big deal for him. It feels like the opportunity is the bigger deal. So he was passed over by Seattle in the expansion draft. I wanted to throw this in here because there's kind of the looking at Tarasenko and where he's been. And they took Vince Dunn, the Seattle Kraken did instead. And I know that 34-goal season made a lot of people say, see, Seattle should have taken him. However, his numbers did drop this past season, and Vince Dunn, 64 points. That's double the 32 points that Tarasenko put up this season. Now, with this signing of 1 year, $5 million, this means that Ottawa's basically done. $895,953 in cap space, according to Cap Friendly. So this basically rounds out their summer, but it does give them some nice depth. So if we look at the potential top 9, Tkachuk, Stützle, Tarasenko, that could be a very, very talented line, right? Giroux, Norris, Batherson, and Kubalik, Pinto, and Joseph. So what this does is it means that they have a really solid top 6, and their third line should be pretty good too. Having 3 scoring lines is key if you want to make the playoffs in the NHL. And then, of course, having a really strong fourth line is good too. That fourth line could be really fast and, physical. But for Ottawa, I think they've done a good job with their top 6. Again, would they rather have kept DeBrincat? I think so. I think when Pierre Dorion talks about wanting to keep DeBrincat long-term, I think he really did. DeBrincat just had other ideas. and now they have Tarasenko for the next season, meaning that next summer his contract comes off the books. They have some money. Next year's free agent market looks really good. So does this get Ottawa above the playoff line? I don't know if it does or doesn't, but they weren't that far off. And if Tarasenko's dialed in, and again, it's going to depend on chemistry. Chemistry is that variable we don't know. So if I had to hazard a guess, I would say Tarasenko should be good for at least 20 goals this season. 25 is quite possible, and if he hits the ground and everything goes his way, he could hit 30, 35 goals. Absolutely. Even though, as I said, he turns 32 in December, and we know that players do tend to see that drop-off in their early 30s. He had 18 goals last year. Maybe we're at that drop-off point. But again, he may very well have that rejuvenation to his career, as we saw with Claude Giroux with Ottawa this past season. So Ottawa has a pretty good squad. I think the goaltending is going to be one of those up-in-the-air things for Ottawa. But let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.